Hola a todos, vuelvo. So I'm back with more resources that I've been utilizing on my journey of acquiring the language of Spanish. I've been committed for 4 months, dedicated, committed to this process. And so I'm just going over the resources. This is going to be more so the resources on speaking and comprehensible input. So I was watching an interview on YouTube on Mike Ben's channel, and he was interviewing somebody who learned Spanish all by comprehensible input. And I was like, oh, what's that? So we started talking about Dreaming Spanish. And I had seen Dreaming Spanish as one of the YouTube channels that I have subscribed to, but I didn't really take serious. So when I started to listen to this interview, and this interview was in Spanish, and I was kind of curious because my whole point is I'm going to learn what other people are doing, see what resources are out there, and seeing what's going to be the one that sticks with me. Because in my previous videos, I do talk about the different resources that I was using, and I was kind of getting bored. It wasn't sticking. And then I'm just like, okay, let me try this one. So I went to Dreaming Spanish, and I love Dreaming in Spanish. It, to me, is a game changer on the way I feel like my level of comprehension has improved. It has also, like, I felt like I have more confidence in wanting to speak, and I feel like that's really important. So now when I listen to, like I mentioned in my other video in regards to media, like Peppa Pig, yes, Peppa Pig is on like a most basic level, but I'm understanding it. So to me, that is a win. And so comprehensible input. So basically comprehensible input is just filling yourself with listening. And what he does, Pablo is his name, and what he does is, or in his team, they tell stories, but they're drawing it out. So if it's like, esta casa, and I don't know what casa means, and it's like he's drawing a house. So it's like I'm starting to put what this word is, and then I'm starting to see it. So I'm starting to match my ears to my eyes. Like, what do I hear and what do I see, and putting that together. And I think that's really, really important because obviously I'm starting to learn new vocabulary, but also understanding, like, as he mentioned in his videos, is like, this is the way we learn as kids. And obviously I never thought about like, oh, how did I learn English as a kid? Like, it's because I just grew up as my native language. I don't think, how did I acquire the language of English? And it was because people were speaking to me at my level. They would say, this is a paper, pen, you just notice how we speak to kids who are learning. And also, like, I noticed that, like, if I'm speaking to someone, I'm like, okay, this word might not, I'm trying to explain a sentence, and I'll say not this word, but I'll use a word that may be a little bit simpler that is saying the same thing that I'm trying to say because I want them to comprehend it. And so that's really like the benefit of comprehensible input with Dreaming Spanish. And then they also have a website where you can track your hours. They have videos from like super beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Right now I'm going through all the super beginner videos before I even go to beginner. Because for me, I'm going to take the steps. As much as I want to like jump to the front, of course, I want to have acquired the language yesterday. But for me, it's all about enjoying the process and the journey and really allowing myself time to say, like, yes, I can do that. And then also with Dreaming Spanish, he gives like a poster and is saying like, okay, at level 1, 0 to 50 hours is, where you're at stage 1. And then 51 hours to the next level. I don't know where that's at because I'm not there yet. And I'm really utilizing the website and inputting the progress that I'm, whether if it's a podcast, I'm speaking, because I feel like it's going to be really cool to see like that time that I've that I put into acquiring the language and seeing how it flows over time and seeing how quickly I really do acquire in terms of speaking the language fluently and comprehending. And I understand fluency takes years and years and years, but for me, it's more important like to have a conversation to be able to get my thoughts out in Spanish. So Dreaming Spanish is like, I recommend it. Number 1, do that. I would also say like learning like your ABCs, and it maybe, I already kind of know some of my tenses or conjugations, so I don't know if that, I'm sure that helps me. But the next resource that I'm going to go into in terms of speaking is Italki. So I did utilize Italki Spanish lessons. So I had a teacher in Colombia, and I probably worked with her for maybe 2 months. And then what happened was she was going on vacation for like a week and a half or 2 weeks. And then while she was getting ready to come back, I was going to go on vacation. So with those weeks that happened, and then when I got back from vacation, I had vacation lag. I wasn't back to my wanting to get studying again. So it's kind of like fallen off, and then I've just kind of learned that other resources were out there, and I'm really just focused on comprehensible input with utilizing Dreaming Spanish right now. But the lessons were great. I will also leave the link to my tutor in the description below. She was on Italki in Colombia. Her name is Martha/Lily. She goes by either of those names. I did have one session with a teacher in Mexico. His name is Juan, and I can leave that information below too as well, because their styles were very different. So Lily is, she's a teacher, so there was homework and things like that. And then with Juan, we met one time and we had a conversation, like he was trying to get to see where my level was. And what I really appreciate about him is that after, or getting close to our session, our class, he went over all the different things, the tenses that I said incorrectly, and why it's this. He went over like por and para, like what's the difference between it, and that was really helpful for me. So I really liked his strategy, because he was correcting me, like he allowed me to speak, and then he corrected me, and then I took notes, and it was really helpful that he did that. So Italki, I would say, is great too, because there's so many teachers out there, and depending on like what price point you want to utilize for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour, I think it's totally worth it to start to like utilize that. And also it helps with building confidence in speaking as well. From my experience, if I didn't have any like how to say a sentence or anything, I don't know if Italki would have been work for me, because as soon as my first lesson with Lily, she was speaking to me in Spanish, and she was not slowing down. Like, it wasn't like she's going to speak to me like I'm a preschooler or anything like that. Like, she was on it. And so once again, I was just starting to get back into acquiring the language with dedication, and some things I'm like, huh? Like, you can tell me the basics, like como te llamas, cuánto tienes años, those things. I know those things when I hear it, but then at that point I'm like, I hear one word and I'm like, I think she meant this. So if I didn't have any creating sentences, or maybe even like how to use tense, then I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure there's teachers on Italki that start out with the fundamentals. I would pretty sure they have those teachers as well. So it's just seeing what teacher is right for you and reading the reviews, because there's so many. So I do give Italki like 2 thumbs up. Once again, all these resources, they work. It's just, how do they work for me? And like, basically how do they work for me, and how do I want to utilize it at the same time? All right, next, the Speaky App. So the Speaky App is a language exchange app. So if I want to learn Spanish, there's somebody out there who Spanish is their native language, or they speak it fluently, and they want to learn English. And so we do the exchange. Basically, I help them with their English, they help me with their Spanish. So here you'll find people can be flaky. I was flaky, only because sometimes the conversations are like, they don't go anywhere. And so I did meet 2 people on here. One person in Mexico, where we have been speaking once a week for probably 4 months now, I would say. And so that has been really, really helpful, because once you find your partner on Speaky, it's like things just flow. And it's nice to have someone that you can commit to, whatever that looks like schedule wise. I also met another person, he's in Colombia, and sounds like, I think he works a lot, so we started off for like a couple of weeks, and then I haven't heard from him, but I have his WhatsApp, so I can definitely contact him and be like, hey, what's up? When we go and talk? And I'm pretty sure he's pretty open to it. So I would say Speaky is great. It's just, you got to sift through the messages and kind of start to see like where you can connect with somebody, and because everybody's level is different. Some people are like, I don't want to give you my WhatsApp number. I just want to stay on this app, and then sometimes the messages don't come in and they're slow, whatever it is. So it's just seeing where like your comfort level is and what works best for you, and how you come in contact with that person that's going to be able to be like your language partner. So I definitely recommend Speaky. And see, once I found like my people on Speaky, it's like I don't even utilize the app anymore, because to me, too many people is too much for me. Like, I'm good with 2 that I have, and they're who I communicate with. And like I said, the woman that I speak to in Mexico, like, we have really gotten to know each other, and so it's really cool. Okay, Dreaming in Spanish, and then YouTube channels. YouTube channels I feel like are very beneficial. So Mike Ben's channel is where I learned a lot of like the resources, and then he also does interviews. And who else? Oh man, there's someone else that I want to put up here, and I don't have his name, but I'm gonna like write it right here, right? And so this person, he's also great because he also has interviews as well, which I like. And then the other channel I'm going to mention is Demontre, and I really appreciate Demontre because he goes live. And when he goes live, I can join his live and we can have a conversation with other people while we're live who are learning the language, and everyone's at different levels on this live, mind you. But what's great is that he helps with, saying things correctly, or, today we're going to go over a particular tense, and he's been so great at teaching. And actually, I've been wanting the lives that I haven't attended to go rewatch them, because I'm listening to them. I'm like, ooh, I need that in my notebook in front of me. Like, driving and listening is not doing it. I need my notebook to take notes because he's just helping so much, and I really appreciate him and his help. So definitely those 3 YouTube channels are really great as well. And so that concludes speaking comprehensible input. And so for me, comprehensible input 2 thumbs up, because it has been working wonders, and I just feel like my progress is just accelerating. I can feel it faster, and my confidence is grown through comprehensible input. There's something about understanding that's building my confidence even more, that makes me want to speak. And I thought I was going to want to speak first to build my confidence in order to comprehend, but it's been the opposite, which has been so interesting. So those are my reviews. Let me know if there's anything you have any questions, or if there's any resources that you'd like to share with me as well. I truly appreciate it. Ciao.